These are the books written by Nigel Frith. Hello, Nigel.
Hello.
I'd like to talk to you about your books, but I'm wondering, as you contemplate that fine collection, whether your bosom is swelling with pride or you're merely breathing heavily.
Yeah, I'm just trying to stand up straight so I don't look too much of an idiot on the film, yes.
No, you look fine. But that's a truly magnificent collection, and it's not only your novels, but also your poetry. I think it's fair to say that you haven't actually made it into the bestseller list.
It's very true to say, yes, yes.
Which may to some extent be a disappointment, because clearly those books have merit. I mean, they're published by top-of-the-range publishers, and your agent thought well of them. And indeed, their themes are very popular at the moment. Just to cut that short, two of your characters, Thor and Loki,
Yes,
for example, are features of the blockbuster Marvel films.
I know.
And indeed the comics. And the series that was a global success, The Game of Thrones, is a sort of neo-medieval epic.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And Tolkien's splendid volume is also
Yes, yes.
dealing with much of your preoccupation.
Yeah, well, you see, this, published as Asgard, that was first published as The Spear of Mistletoe by Routledge and Kegan Paul, who were very famous publishers, well, still are, but in my time they were taken over by an American conglomerate, and that was usually the time when Nigel was got rid of, so he got rid of me. But Unwin's took me up, which was another big publisher, and of course they are the publishers of Tolkien, and they said, we've made all this money out of Tolkien, we've got to put something back into the fantasy market, so they invented a new imprint called Unicorn, and this was, I think, their first book that they published in that to launch a fantasy series, so in fact this did quite well. But it was sort of done to sort of capitalise on what Tolkien had established.
But this was before the more recent fame of the other
before
works I mentioned.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
And one might be forgiven for thinking that the publishers missed a trick in not returning to your books and marketing them more aggressively.
Yeah.
Because now, clearly, Asgard is on the map.
Yes.
People know about Asgard. They know about dragons as part of heroic stories. And it may be that your books would have sold more frequently. But what is it particularly about your style of writing which you can explain to us?
Well, I mean, I think in a way they wouldn't have sold as well as other fantasy titles because they were written in a specific epic style. The first book I published was the first fiction sort of novel type book I published was Krishna, and this was written in a style that I think could be fairly easy reading for everybody, because it's just a sort of straightforward storytelling style. And in fact, it's kind of based on Sir Thomas Malory, who's a long time ago, but it's a very natural storytelling style where you're entertaining a group of people, a romance style this was. But I knew if I was going to tackle these big subjects, I'd have to write a proper epic. Now, Krishna I planned as an epic on the same structural format as Homer used, but I wrote it in this non-epic style. So I thought my next book was got to be in an epic style. So, I mean, if you open this book, you can see it is all in huge chunks of paragraphs, because that's Homer's style. Homer is grand, and he's not the style of telling a story to a group of people. He's the style that comes from having a great mead hall of warriors, you see, so about 200 warrior type people, and you're telling them the story of the things that they care about most, and their friends have died in these actions, you see. And so it's a big style with very clear units. So Asgard was written like that, and it did do quite well, and it got translated into Dutch and Finnish and things, but and Polish. I got money in a Polish bank account, but it's impossible to take it out of Poland. So
very unfortunate.
Yes, they eventually said, "Do you really want to keep it?" And I said, "No, go on, scrap it." So they did. But so it did do quite well. But I think that was what holds it back. People don't naturally feel at home in this style. But on the other hand, I think it's good to re-establish it.
It seems that, looking back through the files and so forth, that this actually became a raison d'etre for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Instead of trying to read the market and write to the market, you set out to promote the Homeric style.
Yes.
And to persuade the academic establishment that it was valid and should be promoted.
Yes, I did try. I applied to the Arts Council for a grant to do this, because they were advertising, writers' grants in those days, if anyone developing anything new, and I got an answer back from Charles Osborne, who was their boss at the time, saying, there's absolutely no point in reviving the epic nowadays, supposing you could even do it. So I didn't get any money. My friend Chris Matthew, he got the money, and he was a popular writer anyway.
Yes, it must have been very galling.
Well, I didn't mind, but Margaret Morley said, "It's outrageous, why should Chris get it and you don't?"
But one does detect, after having produced a number of books in this heroic style, an element of despair, and that you might well have decided to throw in the sponge. Perhaps I could read a short extract from
Nil Desperandum.
the manifesto you wrote when you stood for Professor of Poetry at Oxford in 1978. Talking about you, it says, "He has sacrificed all hope of leading an ordinary, well-paid existence for the sake of creating some works for the new Renaissance."
Yes, I stood, that was my Professor of Poetry pitch. I stood as saying we should have a new Renaissance, the modern world is the product of the Renaissance, because that, going back into the past and reviving Greek styles of the Greek theatre and also Greek science. I mean, the whole scientific revolution came from that. That's something we should keep renewing. So we need to keep going back to these roots of our modern culture, instead of drifting off ever more floaty, gossamer little winged twits.
Yes.
Which is the sort of intellectual world we now live in.
Yes. Now, it struck me reading your collection of poems, Aphrodite, that there was a poem there that was rather apposite. I wondered if you might like to read it.
Yes, and I mean, you have kept this, and I mean, it never got published. It's a book that I published myself and illustrated myself in my Greek. Again, we've revived the Greek.
Yes, very attractive.
Greek style of that's sort of Greek pottery painting surrounds. But you want me to read this now? You see, this is myself 30 years ago, and
Yes.
I was a conceited little jumped up twerp. But so make allowances for that.
We will.
But it was sort of true at the time. 30 years I've tuned my ears to the muse's lips. 30 bedded years beneath returning manuscripts. First, with bursting greenery, I revelled on the page, casting roses from a heart unbitten yet by age. Next, for 11 years, I toiled in literary mines, digging from Hellenic hills the forgotten lines. Then, from fiercest labour purged, burnt of meaner mould, I shot from the Castalian crag to splash the world with gold. Awake, awake, O sleepy age, open your eyes and see, to centuries in camps to come, the muses bugle me.
Yes, really excellent.
That itself is a classical convention, you see, because Horace does it, and I'm kind of, it's partly ironical.
Yes, well, it was a wonderful exposition. Thank you. I'd just like to say in closing, because you haven't stopped writing, and I know you're working on your Pangaea pan-historical work, but one would think that you tended to live in the past and the future, rather than just the present, as we're frequently told to do nowadays. But I did find this old poem of yours, the last stanza of which suggests that on occasion you live in the moment. The title might be taken as one of the Beatles, All You Need Is Love. Past regrets and future fears furrow not our brow, for when she comes between my sheets, all is only now.
Yeah, well, that's true of that type of person at that age, yes.
We understand how you have mellowed.
But, you see, the thing is, these epic... the thing I found is that when you study a form, as I did with Homer, there comes to be a point, and I said 11 years, and it was. I did about 7 years on the style and about 4 years to get in the structure. You get to the point where it takes you over, and you find that you are now starting to think like Homer, and then when you find you're not agreeing with people, it's quite natural they wouldn't agree with you, because this is a different sort of mind to that modern chap that it was 11 years before. And at that point, you see, it was the point where I saw all these epics are very well, but they're just about little bits of history. What I must write is the big epic that tells all history and shows how this modern world we are in is in fact far more like this Homeric epic than we would dare to think.
Well, Nigel, we very much look forward to reading Pangaea, and we should not lose sight of these great novels. Thank you.
Thank you.